Hello to my friends who have returned for another week of me switching it up, you know, keeping it fresh. One of the things that I love about my channel is that I don't have like a specific theme or like a category that you can really put me into, which is probably why I'm struggling to gather an audience, because usually people like to watch like one thing, but I'll give it all to you. Like I'll switch it up. Like one week I can be like a gaming channel and one week I can be like a fashion. When have I ever done gaming or fashion videos? This week is going to be inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers, Danny Gonzalez, and I think I've talked about him on this channel before. If you haven't seen him before, definitely go watch him. I recommend his videos. He's hilarious. Definitely one of my favorite YouTubers, but basically his channel is kind of dedicated to like roasting things on the internet, and I think it's hilarious the way that he does it. And one of those subcategories that he does is he kind of like deconstructs like really bad movies, like whether it's like a Netflix movie or like some kind of like cheap knockoff to like a popular movie. And so that's what I'm going to be doing for this week. So I went through an entire list of like terrible movies, and I was going to watch like the worst movie on Netflix, but I couldn't find what that would be because everyone had like a definition of like what an awful movie on Netflix was. I couldn't like find what the worst one was. And then I just started looking for like really low budget movies that are kind of like trying to copy like a really popular movie, and I found an entire list. There's actually a lot of them. So if you want any more of these videos, please let me know because I have an entire list. But for this week I decided to go with one that I enjoyed a lot during my childhood, which was High School Musical, except there is a very cheap ripoff of it called Sunday School Musical. And I watched the entire thing, and let me just say, oh my god, literally. And it really wasn't like a religious movie like I was thinking it was going to be, and it wasn't great or good by any means. If you don't want to waste your time watching it, just go ahead and stay with me on here and I'll be reviewing the entire movie for you and pointing out some of the major flaws in the movie, which is basically the entire thing. So I hope you're as excited as I am, and let's just get into it. If you haven't seen High School Musical, I highly recommend you go watch it because it was a classic from like 2009. It was a huge part of my childhood, and I personally hate musicals. It's probably the only musical that I've ever enjoyed. Should we start with the cover art for the movie? You can tell that it's an immediate copy of the High School Musical cover where you have this green backdrop instead of a red one and everyone is in midair jumping. It looks like a promising movie for sure. The only like thing that I'll have to say about the cover is that only two of the people on the front are actually like main characters in the movie. I think I saw this blonde guy like once, and then the other two I swear I didn't see in the entire movie. Not your ordinary high school at all. Let's get into the movie, okay? The movie starts off very strong. We start with like a nice musical number in the very beginning. Don't even get like 1 second into the movie and this dude's already singing, like dancing down the street.
Let's get it, let's go. It's about that time for me to shine. I got dreams.
So we're introduced to the main character, and this guy's name is Zachary, which is kind of interesting because if you're familiar with High School Musical, the main character's name was Troy, but he was played by Zack, so I'm not sure if they couldn't think of another name or if they just like intentionally wanted to like steal as much as they could from High School Musical, and they took the actor's name and just extended it a little longer. So we have this not Zac Efron. So we have Zachary, and we find out that he is on his way to go perform with his choir, and he shows up a little late, and so we're introduced into this, I think it's a church. I guess because the choir is about to perform, they're like clapping because they're gonna go on stage or something, but like the people who edited this movie like added in like claps in the background, but I guess they didn't tell the extras in this scene that there was gonna be clapping, and so like none of them are clapping. They're all just sitting very still while the clapping goes on, and the clapping continues for a good like 10 seconds. Way too long with no movement from any of the extras. And so then the choir performs, and when I first watched this I was like honestly really confused because I thought that they were just like practicing. So then they start showing like the people in the audience, and they were showing like their reactions to it, and a lot of them were giving me like mixed signals on whether or not they were like enjoying it or not. You had this group of people who like looked really uninterested and like bored. Like this girl kind of looked like she was like enjoying it, but she like wasn't allowed to. As they started showing more people, they were enjoying it. So I wasn't sure if we were like supposed to like think that they were good or something. Like I was really confused on like what the mood was here. As it continued, I noticed that there was like a handmade sign in the background that said that this was the choir competition, which looks like they made 20 seconds before starting this event. So this is the competition, okay? So the people in the audience are actually the people that they're competing against. I know no one else is there then because there's only the 2 choir groups, and then otherwise it would be empty. So they're performing against their competition. Then this lady comes on and explains that winning this would be getting like the state championship title and a grand prize of $10,000.
Top 2 teams will earn a spot in the upcoming state's competition and the chance to win the grand prize of $10,000.
So everyone like really wants to get that, obviously. That's kind of like the main plot of the movie. You have these 2 choirs competing against each other. So you have these 2 choirs, the one that just performed, which is Hawthorne, and then the one that was watching them, which is Crossroads. So after Hawthorne performs, Crossroads gets on stage, and it turns out that they're awful.
Come thou fount of every blessing, come thou fount of every blessing, come thou fount of every blessing, heart to sing thy words, to sing thy praise, to sing.
When I first watched this, I didn't realize if I was like supposed to like think that they were good or not, and I was thinking to myself like, wow, they're really bad, and then I realized, okay, they're supposed to be like terrible, but man, are they awful.
Mercy strings of mercy, strings of mercy.
Like, this girl isn't even singing. Like, I don't know why she's in the choir, but she clearly just hates it and does not want to be there. And so then it turns out that there was supposed to be a 3rd choir there competing against them, but they couldn't make it for whatever reason. So then those 2 choirs, Hawthorne and then Crossroads, the awful one, both get to move on to state. And then the movie continues, and we get into the scene where like these 3 friends are walking home, Zack and his 2 sidekick friends. I don't even remember their names, but they're not important. It's okay. They have this like casual moment where they're just like rapping on the way home, and apparently like Zachary's like a really good rapper, you know, so good that like you're laughing through it.
Most people can't handle throwing up words like I guess money but I don't panhandle. Work.
And then like, you know, like when your friends are so good at rapping that your only response is that's good 4 times in a row.
That was good.
That was
That was good. That was good. That was good. That was good. That was good.
And I honestly thought that his friend was making fun of him, and then she starts to rap, and I was like, okay, she's gonna bring us this fire. And then
Crossroads is lame. They got no game, and they.
oh, so she killed it, and they loved that. So then Zachary gets home to have dinner with his family, and you know, they want to like share their days with each other, except like him and his mom like awkwardly talk at the same time.
So
guess
go ahead.
Except his mom was already talking and he interrupts her, but they try to make it look like they were talking at the same time, but his mom was like clearly already talking, and then he interrupted her.
So
then Zachary explains to his mom that they won the competition for the day and they'll be moving on to states, and she asks him to explain more, and he literally does not elaborate on it at all.
that's amazing. Tell me more.
What were you gonna say?
And so then she breaks the news that she lost her job and they're actually gonna have to be moving.
Today I found out I lost my job.
And Zachary's really upset because this means that he's gonna have to move schools because his aunt lives 40 minutes away.
So we have to switch schools? Janet, that's like 45 minutes away.
Which means that he can't be in the choir anymore, which like major plot hole for me that I did not fully understand, because I thought like the choir was a part of the church, not a part of the school. So if you're going to a different school, I don't see why he can't still be in the choir. Also, 40 minutes just isn't that far, okay? Like, why don't we just drive you to practices? So then we move on to the next scene where Zachary climbs onto the roof, and I guess this is like his like chill spot where he comes to like think or whatever. And then I thought we were gonna break out into like our first real musical number because he was like clearly upset. I thought he was gonna like sing about like how he's feeling, and he kind of just sits there for a minute and the beat like starts to get like really good, and I was like getting into it, and then he just like gets up and starts like hitting and kicking things, and it's like it's really awkward scene. And there's this like weird like 90s like synth sound in the background. And it honestly just like it makes no sense. He does this really weird thing where he like kicks his feet together and then he just like storms off into the distance. Like it never breaks out into song. Like the scene like literally ends right there. It's about like 30 seconds of him just kicking things. It's honestly the weirdest scene in this entire movie. But then I guess we move on to like maybe the next day or like later, and there is a song in this scene, and it's basically like when his friend comes over. I don't know what his friend's name is. She comes over and he tells her like, you know, hey, my mom lost her job, I have to move, and she's like super not supportive of him.
You're the one skipping town right before we finally get the chance to go to states. Guess that ain't important to you.
Like, imagine telling your friend, like, hey, my mom lost her job. Like, I'm gonna lose everything and I have to go move in with my aunt. And she's like, you're really just gonna skip town like that?
You're the one skipping town.
Like, are you for real? It's like, so just like that. You're just gonna skip town.
Oh, for real? On God? Just like that?
She's literally like such a friend. She's like, if you really cared, you would do more to try and stay here. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, my mom lost her job.
And if you didn't want to leave, then you would try to stay.
Imagine your friend telling you that you had to move because your family is so poor in poverty that you have to go move in with your aunt. And your friend being like, I feel like you don't even care like about the choir at all. I'm assuming the next week maybe Zachary goes to his first day of school at the new school, and this is the school where the competing Crossroads choir team is actually going to, so he like meets up with some of the people that he's seen already. And there's this girl, I think her name's Savannah. I don't remember anyone else's name, but we're gonna call her Savannah. He gets paired with her in their home ec class. So we're brought to this really awkward scene in home ec where Zachary's like trying to crack an egg and Savannah's like, no, it's not how you do it.
Wait, no.
What?
Well, when you crack it like that, you get the shell in the batter, so you just tap it, and it opens.
I don't know why she's like treating him like he's like 5 years old. I feel like we all learned how to crack an egg when we were like at least in 3rd grade. So the way that he was cracking the egg on the bowl is literally what she does on the table. If anything, him cracking the egg on the side of the bowl is more efficient than cracking it on the table. But after Savannah shows Zachary how to crack the egg, he makes a comment saying, okay, boss. And she's just like weirdly super offended by that.
Thanks, boss.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know if like boss is her trigger word, but she just gets like very pissed that he calls her that.
What's that supposed to mean?
Like, it was like the worst insult that he could have said to her. He was like, okay, boss. And she was like, what the did you just say to me? And she gets so mad that she's like, okay, well, if you think I'm like the boss here, you do it yourself.
Okay, well, if you think you can do it better, then you take over, boss.
So he starts to do it by himself, and she literally does not let him.
Half cup of sugar.
I can do it.
So after that, Zachary kind of moves on to like the rest of his classes throughout the day, and there's this scene where he's like in this classroom and the teacher's talking, and I don't know if like the editors added in like a bird sound effect or if there was like actually just like loud ass birds when they were filming, but it's literally so loud that I had to rewind it like 4 times just to make sure I wasn't hearing things.
Make sure that you help him whenever possible. We're a little short on textbooks still.
So then after school, Zachary's outside chilling with his aunt, and then his mom comes out and says that the army extended his father's tour another 6 months, so they don't know when he's coming back, and it's like kind of like a sad scene, and Zachary's like, he's just like pissed.
Military extended your father's tour for another 6 months.
Come here.
He looks so f***ing done with his mom. Like, his mom is just like kind of relaying the news that the army told her, and he's just like, really, bitch, what else? Like, you got anything else you're gonna ruin anyone else's day? Like, he's so mad that she told him that. And then what happens after this like really confuses my entire soul, okay? And here, let me tell you why. So the next scene, when Zachary's upset, he goes up onto this rooftop, and I'm like, wait a second, this is the same rooftop that he went on to the first time that he was upset. I'm editing right now, and it's not just the same rooftop, bitch. It's the same exact clip from the beginning of the movie. Like, they literally copied and pasted that. It's the same clip. And the first time I thought this rooftop was like the top of his apartment complex or something, but I guess not. I guess this rooftop is like a location that he just like walks to when he's mad. Okay, here's my problem with that. If it's a walkable distance from where he's living now and where he was living before, that means that he didn't move that far. Therefore, he could still go to the school that he was going to. He could still be in the choir because it's obviously within a walkable distance. No one even has to drive him. If he's still going to this rooftop, that means that he is still within the vicinity that he was before. Or they just couldn't afford another location, so they were like, oh, f it, let's just go onto this rooftop again. So then I'm assuming the next day he goes to school and he's in this home ec class again with Savannah, and she proposes to him that he join their choir, and he's kind of just like, nah, I don't want to. But I was so distracted the first time watching this that I didn't even catch that she offered him that, because
2 egg whites, that's all you.
On it.
they're supposed to be following this recipe where they only use an egg white.
No.
It's okay. It's okay. Here.
They can't use like the yellow yolk, right? And she accidentally like spills it into the bowl, which is like, you know, that happens sometimes. However, this was step 1 out of the recipe that they're making. I checked several times. This was their first step. Just throw it out and start over. But instead of doing that, she tries to scoop out the egg yolk.
Zachary, I was
You know, I saw you at regionals and...
All she's doing is just making a huge mess and breaking it up into more pieces. She's basically just mixing it into the mixture. Can we just start over from the beginning? Like, why are we trying to scrape this out right now? She was doing a terrible job. So then later on in the day, Zachary's in his history class and the teacher's like, you should present next. And he's like, oh, I actually didn't do it.
I don't have mine.
You didn't do the assignment?
And she's like, detention.
Detention with me after class.
Which is a little dramatic. So then one of like the main dudes involved in the Crossroads choir is like, oh, we actually need our choir room cleaned if he could do that for detention.
We could use help cleaning the choir room.
And she's like, awesome, you can do that. So then he goes to that detention for choir and it's the most boring scene and nothing happens. But then the following day he returns back to their choir room, I guess to just like watch them like practice or something. I don't know. It's like, it's really weird because he's like standing in the corner while everyone's doing their thing. And there's this guy who's playing the harmonica and he like notices that Zachary is watching them.
Hey. Hey. Are you coming in? Oh, no, I was just chilling.
No, I'm chilling? You're chilling in the doorway? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're chilling? And then he points out that his harmonica is kind of cool and he should use it in their choir to like add like some like spice to it.
No, it's cool. You should use it. Really?
Except they never build on that whatsoever and he never uses the harmonica ever again in the movie. But everyone loves that Zachary is just like this like king of choir and they all like look to him for inspiration because this choir sucks so bad, so they'll take like any advice that they can get.
Hey!
Hey,
Zachary was just saying we could use my harmonica.
Oh, no, I was just saying.
You think I could work?
And then he kind of like breaks in a song like just basically explaining like you guys like have talent within yourself and like you should just like try harder. But he's lip syncing to the song like they do to every song in this movie, except there's a part where he's absolutely not saying anything and the words are still being sung.
And wear the black, white, brown.
And they're all dancing and having a great time.
I just can't.
And then when it ends, Savannah says this.
So you had a little something there, right?
I know, we actually sounded okay.
Yeah.
Zachary was the only person who was singing this entire time. I went back and watched it. No one said a single word. No one said anything. Everyone danced. Everyone did some cool choreography. No one sang. Zachary was the only singer in this, okay? So you saying that you guys sound good, this changed nothing, okay? All we established is that he can play his harmonica, which he didn't even do. And then immediately after this, we see that the Hawthorne choir is kind of just like wrapping up for the day, and Zachary actually goes and makes a visit to them.
Time
Hey,
and
guys.
energy, you know?
Hey. Nice seeing you, man. Bro.
What are you doing here?
Again, like, my theory about him being in a close vicinity is again proven because their choir is ending at the same time that the other choir practice was ending, so that means that if he wanted to, he could have easily just walked over to this one and been a part of this choir instead.
Actually just came from rehearsal too.
But instead he's helping the opposing team. And then we have like this really random scene of like Savannah and like the other main choir dude like fighting with each other because they both like want to be in charge of like allowing Zachary to join the choir. This dude's like against it for whatever reason because they suck without him, and then she wants him to join because she has the crush on him, obviously.
You're not the boss. Who do you think you are? You're not the boss.
And the funny part about this scene is that all the extras in the background are like doing like their best job to like try and avoid the fact that they're being super annoying right now. Like they're all just like, can we just do our homework right now? Like everyone's just trying to study and they're like, oh, these bitches doing this again. Like they're so fed up with them doing this. Like they're just dancing all around, singing everywhere, and they're just like, oh my god, like bitch, I have a test at 4, like can you stop? Then following that, we have the church director coming to tell the Hawthorne choir that basically they're broke and the church is gonna have to shut down because we have no money.
We're out of ideas and we're out of money. Hawthorne will be closing its doors at the end of the month.
But thankfully, the grand prize for winning this competition is $10,000, so they're kind of hoping that if they win, they can still, you know, stay open. Then the next day at Sunday service, they're kind of talking about, like, unity and coming together, and Zachary has, like, the brilliant idea that both the choirs should join together, which, again, makes no sense to me, because if we can join, why can't he just still be a part of the other one? But instead of waiting until church is over to like ask the choir if they want to do this, we have this like really long 30-minute scene where they're passing this note to each other asking if they want to join the choirs together. I'm not exaggerating, this is literally the longest scene out of the entire movie of just passing this note to everyone who's in the choir who just coincidentally happens to be sitting one spot over each time backwards. They're all sitting like in a checkerboard fashion, and no one's noticing them pass the note in church at all. Everyone is completely oblivious to the fact that they're sliding the note in front of the person in front of them. They pass it to like 15 people, and it just keeps on going. And then also, Homeboy's nails are dirty as fuck. If we can just take a second to recognize that. Like, I don't understand if he was doing like oil work before he came to church today. So then we fast forward a little bit, and both choirs come together and they like practice a little bit, and then we come to the state championship. So when we get there, one of the main characters of the Crossroads choir, I don't remember what his name is, he notices their competition, and it's actually one of the choirs who has won the past 3 years.
Oh, no.
What?
COTGYC.
What?
Church of the Gospel Youth Choir. They've won the past 3 years.
And they will never let anybody forget it.
Which, like, I don't understand why they're so surprised, because if they win every year, shouldn't we know that they're gonna be here again this year? Like, they're acting like they just found out who their competition is. They win every year. And then there's this dude in the competing choir who just looks like he's like ready to murder everyone. Like, he just like has sabotage on his mind, and I'm like, oh, we need to watch out for him. And then it turns out the next scene later, he ends up snitching on them, because you're not allowed to like join two choirs together the way that they did, so they kind of get in trouble for that.
It's been brought to my attention that this is a combination of choirs.
Yeah, the Crossroads and Hawthorne, we formed one choir.
Well, I'm sorry, I cannot allow two choirs to perform together. It wouldn't be fair to the other choirs.
And after this judge comes to tell them that they can't compete, like, everyone's kind of just like, oh, okay. And I have the same reaction that this girl does. She's basically just like, oh, so we're just not gonna do it? Like, we did all this for nothing then?
I can't believe you guys. Why would we even come this far if you were just gonna give up that easy?
Yeah, she's absolutely correct.
Okay, let's just think for a second.
And then I think the writers got a little lazy. I feel like they dug themselves into a hole. They had no solution. So what happens next kind of makes zero sense.
I might have an idea.
Now she talks.
What we did here was something really great. We united two very different groups of people, and we made it work. I think we may have an argument.
Okay, yeah.
You know what, guys? I have a plan on what we can do. And I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? I didn't know if they were gonna like dress up in costumes, or if they were gonna like, you know, like put together like a booby trap, or like some, you know, like some sneaky to like get around the rules or whatever. They never explain what the plan is either. Right as this scene is ending, you can hear like very faintly, she's like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
So here's what we need to do.
And I'm like, okay, like it got me hyped. I was like, okay, they're gonna like try and distract the judges or something. Like there's gonna be like some kind of like juicy that's gonna go on. And then this happens.
We understand your concern about fairness. To quote Zechariah 7:9, administer true justice. We just want the chance to do something that means so much to all of us. We want to perform.
Her big plan was to go up to the judges and say, please, like, I genuinely don't understand what. She just goes up to the judge and just like recites a Bible verse, and is just like, guys, we really want to. Okay, obviously, like, we wouldn't be there if you didn't want to. That's not, the rules are that you can't. Like, they didn't even try. I would have just been like, no, we've always been one choir, like, we're not two choirs. That was a mishap. Instead, they go up there and say, please, we really want to. That was her big plan. When they all gathered in a group and was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go up there and ask nicely. Okay, so the judge is like, okay, yeah, no, you can't.
You will not be eligible for the prize or the state title, but you may go out there and sing.
But you can still perform, like, if you want to, like, for fun, but you can't win anything.
We'll take it. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely.
They're all like, yes, we'll take it. Like, that's all we wanted to do. And I'm just like, bitch, Hawthorne Church is gonna shut down if we don't get this 10K. Like, what do you mean that's okay? Like, Crossroads is fine because they're obviously like a rich white school, but Hawthorne's over here struggling. Like, we need this 10K. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, we can just perform for fun. Bitch, this isn't for fun. We didn't come to state for fun. They end up performing for fun, which is so annoying to me because they did all this for nothing. And then mid-performance, while Zachary is singing, his dad shows up for some reason, even though the army told him he's not going to be home for 6 months. So I don't know how much time has passed, but it definitely was not 6 months, I can tell you that much. So then obviously the choir that wins every year wins, and then they're like, oh, actually, you guys were so much better than us, you should get the prize.
We feel that we should give over the award and the title to the true winners today, the Hawthorne Crossroads Choir.
So even though they basically cheated because they joined two choirs together, which is against the rules, so if it were me, you guys aren't getting the prize, but they gave it to them, they were nice, blah blah blah. And then Zachary is given the check for some reason and immediately gives it to the choir director, which I don't know if we all discussed that that's what we were gonna do. Like, if I was Crossroads, I would have been like, she's only getting 5K, we won the other half.
So, the church?
Do it. This will do it.
Like, I don't know if we all agreed to give her all 10K. And then after that, Zachary and Savannah like share an intimate moment where they have a premarital kiss, which I don't know, that's okay. I don't know if we should be doing that, especially in front of everyone, like while at church, like in God's house. Is that allowed? I would feel a little skeptical. I think that's a sin, you guys. And then after that, I was like, okay, like maybe we're gonna get like a 6 months like flash forward or whatever of them like saving the church or whatever, like them paying off the debt or something. Then the credits roll in, and then in the movie, it literally just ends like that with no update about anything. Like, is his father gonna get to stay? Do they get to move back? Does he get to go back to his old school? Are him and Savannah gonna like continue dating? Did the church get saved? Or did the choir director just like save that 10K for himself? She was like, bitch, I'm keeping this for me. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and we may never get an answer unless we get like a sequel, maybe Monday School Service. I would definitely rate this movie like a 5 out of 10, only because it wasn't that bad. Like, I was a little entertained while watching it, and some of the songs were like kind of just, I was like, okay. You know, the lip syncing could use a lot of work, but for the fact that they completely ripped off High School Musical, I'm gonna have to give it like a 0 out of 10 for that. Like, if it was like its own standalone movie, it was like a 5 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend it, but it wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. Well, in conclusion, basically, Sunday School Musical is 10,000 times worse than High School Musical, and if you're gonna pick one of the two, definitely go with High School Musical with the actual Zac Efron, not this Zachary knockoff. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's a whole list of like different knockoffs like this if you guys want me to do a video like this again, or if you have any recommendations of awful movies on Netflix, I'm down to do those too, because this was a lot of fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed this new thing, and let's see if it'll be like reoccurring or not, or unless you guys hated it. This video gets like 3 views. Well, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up down below. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I make new videos every Saturday, which means that you get a new video every Saturday. Also, make sure to share this video to anyone who likes musicals, and I will see you guys next week. Bye. The other choir, and this is the school where the competing choir Crossroads, and this is the school where the competing Crossroads choir is also where the competing Crossroads choir